Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do a review and a bit of a comparison. So if you watch my channel for long enough, you will know about my love for this perfume, which is Hermès Equipage geranium. I smelled this perfume a few years ago, ended up buying a bottle. I've been in this is one of those perfumes that was a real love at first sniff. Something that I never anticipated testing or even liking. I got a sample as part of a bunch of samples someone sent to me, and it was destiny. So I had to have this bottle. And ever since, I have been curious because this is actually a flanker that came out in the last decade, I think, and the original from which this was flanked came out in 1970, and that is the original Hermès Equipage, created by Guy Robert. This one was done by Jean-Claude, and I was curious. I was curious in the back of my mind about how much similarity there was between them, and clearly the name Equipage geranium would indicate that geranium plays a big part of it, or some kind of geranium accord. So what I did was acquired a sample of the current Equipage, which looks like this bottle here. So you have context, I've never smelled vintage Equipage. Obviously, it's been around since 1970. It'd be almost impossible not to have been reformulated at some point. However, I got my hands on the current one that you can actually buy now, and I was curious to do a comparison. So I have a little bit of a dry down going on here, and I'm actually down to my last probably couple of sprays of Equipage on this arm. I may as well just drain the thing, and I'll just, as reference, put a spray of Equipage geranium on my other arm. Now, I took some notes earlier on, so you know I know what I'm about to smell. Without smelling them side by side, when I actually first wore Equipage, I thought, wow, it's actually very similar to the geranium flanker. And this is just a comparison in my mind without smelling them side by side. But the first thing, obviously, that you notice is, yes, they're definitely related. So there's nothing, this is a real case of an original and a flanker having shared DNA. It's actually quite remarkable, because when you smell them side by side, for starters, Equipage makes more use of a kind of darker tones, darker florals. Specifically, there's a carnation accord here, and when you do smell them side by side, you do realize how it differs. And really, it does come down to the use of geranium in the flanker and carnation in the original. And what I liken it to is the original has a darkness to it. It has a lower kind of frequency in the accords compared to the higher pitched, a little bit brighter Equipage geranium. It's like comparing a cello and a violin playing the same music, if you like. So they both feature spice. Again, geranium, the Equipage geranium comes across as something more akin to a soapy accord, you know, and the only reason I use soapy is because this does remind me of soaps that I grew up using, in particular something like Cousins Imperial Leather. I'm talking about the geranium one, and it comes across cleaner, brighter, a little bit fresher, whereas the original Equipage has a little bit more density to it. So again, it opens herbal and spicy. This, you definitely smell more herbal aromatics here blended in with the carnation, whereas the Equipage geranium makes use more of some soft spiciness that really complements the geranium well. What happens is when they dry down, the geranium flanker does get woody, and they're kind of creamy soft woods, whereas the original Equipage gets mossier and a little bit dirtier. Where I think Jean-Claude Elena did something really remarkable here is that you might be listening to me describing each of these and thinking that they must smell very different, and they actually don't, because I think anyone who's never smelled these perfumes before would smell them side by side, tell that they're different but also related. And I think that's the genius of what Jean-Claude Elena did with the geranium flanker, is really gave it a link to the original but made it something different. You know, if you want to be cliche about it, this is brighter, fresher, probably more suitable to warmer seasons, and whereas the Equipage original probably you could wear better during the cooler seasons. What I will say about the original Equipage is when I smell this, someone like me, if someone said to me, you know, try and imagine your typical 1970s, early 80s masculine, spicy, woody, mossy perfume, this is almost what you would dream up with. It's like it feels like it's a prototype, and given that it came at the beginning of the 70s, it wouldn't be surprising if this really set the standard for a lot of masculine cologne perfume that was released during that decade. I do have to say that as much as I like the original Equipage, and I'm glad that I've experienced it, and albeit in its current version, I still prefer the geranium flanker. That's just my personal preference. But definitely, if you, like me, tried the flanker before this original, it's well worth a try. And I think Hermès is one of these houses that really, regardless of which version you have of a particular classic that they've released, they do a good job. If it's been formulated, they really do a good job. I mean, I've got a current Bel Ami, which I really love. I actually prefer to older versions, and I'd be perfectly happy to have, if I wanted a bottle of this, of Equipage, I'd be perfectly happy to buy the modern current version. I think, I mean, in terms of performance, it's pretty good and in line with the Equipage geranium, which I smell for a good 6 to 7, 8 hours of the day. They just are really pleasant experiences to wear. They certainly put you in a vibe, put it that way. I'm always in a sort of good mood when I wear Equipage geranium, and the same goes for the original. Like I said, just different frequencies, different tones are used. Same piece of music, just different instruments used, if you want that analogy. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found that interesting. But I'd be very keen to hear your thoughts if you've tried both of these perfumes from Hermès, and leave a comment as always. And I'm going to ask you to like the video from now on, because I would like you to like the video. And also, I noticed that my YouTube tends to have way more people that watch my videos that aren't subscribed to me than are. So if you like my videos and watched more than a few and you're not subscribed, consider subscribing, because, you know, then you'll get a notification and I'll have a video up and you can watch it. All right, enough of that stupid YouTube rambling. I'll see you soon for the next video. I'll hopefully be doing more now that I'm making a bit more time for it. Thanks for watching. See you later.